Hey guys, hi, welcome back once again. My name is Vaishali, and having learned quite a few things from and through and within human interactions, and to a degree through self-reflection, and having pursued my master's in business administration and clinical psychology, I today wish to talk about practicing what we preach. And many a times, or at least a few times, we would adamantly and righteously like to believe that we practice what we preach, that we follow through with what we have said, what we have thought about, what we have preached. And yet, at least a few times, if not many times, we would realize that we have not practiced what we have preached, not just in one instance, but maybe a few instances in our lives. We would realize that there's a part of us that's been dishonest with our own selves, that we have at times trained ourselves to let ourselves down as well. When we have been dishonest with ourselves, and at times it happens in bigger dosages, and at times in smaller incremental steps, incremental dosages, in keeping with how we've not practiced what we are trying to preach or what we have been preaching, primarily to others, but what we are failing to realize at that point in time is also that in those instances or in some other instances, in smaller incremental ways, in cumulative ways that have gotten accumulated, or in bigger steps, in leaps and bounds, we ourselves have not practiced what we are trying to teach to others, what we are trying to preach to others. So let's take a very simple example of that. Now, simple necessarily does not mean easy, but simpler to relate to. So the simple example that I can think about is that I'd like to use with regards to practicing what we preach is small, or the increase in decreasing attention span and instant gratification. So lot many times, or at least pretty frequently, we would hear people, at least in my age group, essentially anybody above the age bracket of 40 or even above the age bracket of 30, tell each other or openly say that the attention span of today's kids have decreased considerably, that they are not engaged and are not present for a longer duration with a lot of things, that the generation of today, whatever that today might look like, wants instant gratification, instant results, and instant output. And yet, if we look into ourselves, if we look within, while we are pointing one finger towards the outside, towards something or somebody else, there are three fingers that are pointing towards one's own self. So are we ourselves not looking for shortcuts all the time? Are we ourselves not looking for instant gratification, for instant outcomes, for instant messages for ourselves most of the times? And the example that comes to my sensibilities with regards to that is with regards to watching reels or watching podcasts. Reels that might last for a few seconds to a few minutes, and podcasts that might last for a few hours, at least half an hour, if nothing more than that. How many of us who are above the age of 30 and 40 and 50 keep going through reels, keep swiping through reels, the shortest and the shortest and the shortest content possible, either through Instagram or through YouTube videos, to feel that we have gathered some kind of a knowledge, at least a tiny bit of knowledge, some information, but do not have the patience to actually indulge ourselves, to actually involve ourselves and engage ourselves in conversations, in dialogues, in interpersonal interactions that lasts for a few hours, at least an hour, if not a couple of hours or more. How many of us within that age bracket that I just talked about earlier are actually able to curiously listen, interestingly listen to long interactions, to long formatted interactions, and are finding gratification through that which might not necessarily be instantaneous or be instant? How many of us have pointed fingers at the youngsters to say that they don't have patience, that they can't sit still, that they don't have the capacity to listen and to engage, that they don't have the capacity to pay attention? Have we taken time to reflect if most days we also have been doing the same or at least the similar thing? And maybe if we do realize that we have been engaging in similar ways through which we are pointing fingers towards others but have not taken the time to reflect on ourselves, to reflect if we have been doing the similar thing on most days, maybe we need to start practicing what we preach, what we expect others to do it for ourselves first. Let's try and reflect about that. If most days what we have been preaching, have we actually been practicing that as well? And if we've not been doing so, maybe it's time to shift the focus, within, to shift the focus onto ourselves on a very personal level. Let's try and do that for ourselves. Let's take the time to reflect on that. And I will see you once again the next week. Till then, stay tuned in. And guys, if you do like the contextual content of these videos, please do like, share, and subscribe.